Ladies and gentlemen, it's time once again for the YouTube channel to give you some predictions because tonight is the WWE Elimination Chamber. I am Aaron Nix, and joining me is, of course, your favorite resident Maple Leaf magician, Kyle Wilkinson. Kyle Wilkinson, welcome back to the Wrestle Plug.
After listening to that interview that dropped today, I should be your second favorite. Second favorite.
Yeah, but he's like the Maple Leaf technical magician.
Oh, touche. Okay, very good.
Oh yeah, I love a bit of wordplay, Sunshine, don't you worry. And Kyle, of course, is alluding to the fact that you can now finally check out my interview with one half of the greatest tag team champions in the history of wrestling. Never mind Impact, wrestling, mate. Sod the rest of them. Josh Alexander joined us on the Wrestle Plug. You can check that interview out now. And of course, if you don't have time to look at our ugly mugs, you can check it out via audio. It's available on all your usual podcasting streams and needs. Now then, Elimination Chamber 2021. We'll be watching it live and we'll be reviewing it after the fact. Sorry, had a little bit of a malfunction there. My software needs updating. Now then, Mr. Wilkinson, time for some quick fire predictions. And we're going to start with a match that we don't really know whether it's going to happen or not. Asuka defends her WWE Raw Women's Championship against Lacey Evans. But as we've just heard, Lacey Evans is legitimately pregnant. So, no idea. What you got?
If this match actually happens, I'm still gonna go with Asuka. If Lacey Evans gets replaced by like Peyton Royce or something, I'm still gonna go with Asuka. Asuka's gonna win regardless because it's Asuka, and why wouldn't she? But yeah, the fact that this match is still being pushed is weird. It's kind of like, Austin and Survivor Series 99, and they're like, oh, we have to almost kill him to get him off the card now.
Yeah, I mean, Wikipedia isn't the greatest source in the world. I just use it so that I've got the list of matches in front of me, so it's easier. But I will say that when I checked this yesterday, this match wasn't on that list, and it's just been put back on. So I'm going to assume Lacey Evans is going to come out. Then all of a sudden, she's going to be like, actually, I've got a replacement because I don't need to wrestle because I'm giving birth to, the greatest baby of all time. Woo! And all that.
Ric Flair's 18th child or something.
I know, right? Yeah, it's cringeworthy, but it is what it is. So, yeah, I don't think this match is going to happen. I think you're probably right. Why not? Give Peyton Royce an opportunity on a pay-per-view. Let her replace Lacey Evans. Let her have a go. Show what she can do. Ultimately, whoever replaces her, which we assume is going to happen, is going to have a decent match because it's Asuka in it. And she's my MVP from 2020. I think she's absolutely incredible. I think she's the best women's worker in the world. And yeah, I thoroughly expect this to be a relatively decent contest at minimum. Would be quite nice as a good swerve if maybe Gene Snitsky came out and punted Lacey Evans into the Thunderdome. I'll be up for that.
That's a good show.
Why not? Right, moving on to more important matters, so to speak. The United States Championship will be on the line. Bobby Lashley, the Tank, the Destroyer. He will defend his title against Keith Lee and Riddle, not Matt Riddle, just Riddle now, in a triple threat match. This should be a blockbuster in terms of wrestling, at least.
I'm really excited for this one because I love Bobby Lashley. I love Keith Lee. And that's where I'm going to leave it.
Well done, sir.
I mean, I could see Riddle winning this because of how many opportunities he's had and, get one up on the Hurt Business. But I don't want that. I'm going to go with Bobby Lashley. I think he's doing too well with this run in the Hurt Business and as U.S. champion to drop it. If he does, and if he drops it to Keith Lee, I'll still be happy. There are 2 out of 3 possibilities that I'm happy with.
Yeah, I'd like to see Bobby Lashley retain. I feel like Bobby Lashley should be built towards being a megastar. The only reason I'd be happy with him maybe dropping it is if he's going to be moved into a more heavyweight title picture down the line. I look at Bobby Lashley and I wonder why the man isn't pushed more as a mega champion. You've taken a risk on Drew McIntyre, and I feel like that's panned out very well. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Drew McIntyre isn't charismatic, but he was very much in Bobby Lashley's stage of that career for a long time, where he was clearly very talented, looked the part, but people questioned whether he could really hold up on the entertainment side of things. But with MVP as his manager, I think that Bobby Lashley could be an incredible destroyer champion, very much in the mold of what Brock Lesnar was when he came in 2002 and had Paul Heyman by his side. So it's just a matter of whether WWE wants to push another big African-American WWE talent, because honestly, that's the only reason I can see why you wouldn't push him at this point. I really have to say. That's not me virtue signaling. It just seems like the case. I am going to stick my neck out and say Keith Lee wins. I don't want to support Matt Riddle, not because of allegations or anything, although that certainly doesn't help. But I've always felt that Matt Riddle is unbelievably overrated. I think he's an excellent in-ring worker. I think his gimmick is trash. I hate his promos. I hate his cadence. I hate his style. Just because he's a legit UFC fighter doesn't mean that he should be pushed to the moon. And ultimately, when you think about legit UFC guys, I think I would put Brock Lesnar and Ken Shamrock well ahead of Riddle in the pecking order. So, it is what it is. And also, Ken Shamrock was never a major champion by any means, although he was an Intercontinental champion and an excellent one at that.
I mean, he was also an NWA World Heavyweight Champion when TNA first debuted.
That's true. And we do classify that as a Mega World Champion. So there you go.
It's the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. That's huge. And another reason we have to hate Riddle is he ruined Edge and Christian's reunion in the Rumble this year. Ruined it. Tried to get it on the hug. I'm like, fuck you, get it.
Fuck off. He's just that annoying little shitbag that you don't, everyone's got that like group of friends they go for lunch at school with or college or whatever, and then there's that one fucking yuck that comes over. Hoi, hey guys, fuck off. Go and sit with your own friends. Yeah, that's right. We're those kind of people. Okay, yeah, I'm looking at this card. Obviously, you've got 3 matches that kind of blend into 2. So let's go with the women's tag team titles. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler defend against Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. This has got publicity stunt written all over it.
A little bit. I'm going. The champs are going to retain on this one. I think Sasha or Bianca take the pin and the other turns on them because they're both faces right now, and we do.
Nia Jax got pinned by a man on SmackDown.
Oh no. Yeah, like Reginald's got like a hard on for Sasha or something, which is completely understandable because
Yeah. I'm not gonna critique anyone when they see Sasha Banks and lose their shit.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go with the champs here because they were just out in NXT. I think having those two against Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez would be really cool, and also a bit of a throwback to when Dakota was that scared little child getting bullied by Shayna every week. So champs will retain, the challengers will implode, and then we'll have our SmackDown women's match at WrestleMania.
Yeah, it does make sense to send Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair down to NXT on March the 3rd to defend the tag titles, particularly when they're so clearly going to face each other at WrestleMania as well, because Bianca Belair has barely even sniffed near Asuka, whereas she's literally had her head so far up Sasha Banks' cornhole trying to investigate what she's up to. It's unreal. Like, just fucking put the match at this point. That's a no-brainer. It does look like one of those matches where WWE are going to do something dumb here. Like, this will probably be where they implode and build towards WrestleMania. Maybe there's a malfunction at the junction or somebody gets involved and costs it. It wouldn't surprise me, actually. I mean, if you really wanted to make a statement, I'd have Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez interfere in this match. And then all of a sudden, all that kind of nonsense leads to Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair maybe bumping heads, and all of a sudden, Shayna and Nia Jax retain. But they need to retain, really. If they lost this, then you think, okay, great, you've been 2-time champions, but you don't feel credible in the slightest, and you keep losing matches that you shouldn't do. It's like, I don't know. I hate the booking of these tag titles. I've made that very clear. But fuck it, just for the sake of it, we'll go with the champions. It's Elimination Chamber time, baby. Now, for the WWE Universal Championship #1 contendership, which will immediately have to be cashed in most likely after the match, because Roman Reigns is a big old shitbag, it will be Jey Uso, Kevin Owens, King Corbin, Sami Zayn, Cesaro, and Daniel Bryan inside the chamber. The winner of that would, of course, face Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship, like I've said, directly after. Who is going to be the lucky devil who gets the job out later in the evening?
As much as I would love to say KO again, he's had his shots. I don't think he'll get it this time, which breaks my heart. But I'm going to go with D-Bry. I think we're going to get Daniel Bryan to win this because I think he's one that he could start the chamber match. Like, he could go all the way. He could win it and still have a decent showing against Roman. He'll probably get squashed still, but he would still have a decent showing. in the match afterwards. So I'm gonna go with Debray, and I mean it's just something I'd like to see, honestly.
Yeah, I've got Daniel Bryan as well. I think that makes the most sense. You've got three faces and three heels. It's a good dynamic. I would actually like to see Cesaro win, but I feel that Seth Rollins is going to stick his greasy nose in because he's building to some sort of rivalry with him. And I can just see him sneaking in a cage or, laying out fucking Cesaro right when he's about to win the match. Either way, it's got to be a face. Like you say, I wouldn't, to be honest, all three faces are fantastic in the sense of they'd all be excellent rivals for Roman Reigns. I would love to see what Cesaro could actually do in a fresh matchup with Roman Reigns. Even if it's just an isolated pay-per-view match, because I genuinely think that from a wrestling standpoint, he could really drag something else out of Roman Reigns that maybe we haven't seen yet. And I do think Roman Reigns has been, frankly, fantastic in this role. I really think he's found his niche, actually, as this shitbag heel with Heyman alongside him, and there's some great storytelling and in-ring talking as well. You don't know whether the Edge dynamic might come into play as well. Edge is obviously going to be at this pay-per-view. Whether he'll actually be on TV or not is another story. I think Daniel Bryan will win, but I'd like to see Cesaro win because I don't think Cesaro long-term is going to get a major push. Like, he's getting pushed, but he's not going to be pushed to the Universal title, or at least I don't think so. So maybe the idea of Cesaro wins and then Seth Rollins, gets involved and costs him against Roman Reigns, possibly building to a WrestleMania rivalry of some sort. Although you do have Fastlane in a month as well. We'll see what happens, but it's going to be Debray or Cesaro for me. I'll say Daniel Bryan. Why not? Why not? We'll go with Daniel Bryan as well.
Good chat. I'm
agreeing with you. I mean, it won't take very long to predict this. Will Roman Reigns retain his Universal Championship?
He sure will.
Winner? Yes, he will. It's not even like, come on, like, they're not going to have Roman Reigns drop it. Can you imagine if Roman Reigns drops the Universal title a month
at Elimination
before Mania? Yeah, no.
The day that happens is the day Vince actually just dies in his office.
Yeah. Yeah, and they think swerve time. I have heard rumors that apparently they want Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania as a possibility because Daniel Bryan, this might be his last WrestleMania. There's rumors abound that they might try and stick Goldberg in there again. God knows why you would do something as dumb as that, but you never know with WWE. But Roman Reigns is clearly going to retain. Somebody who knows Goldberg very well is Drew McIntyre. He'll be defending his WWE Championship inside the Elimination Chamber. Whether it'll be the main event or not is very interesting. It'd be nice to see the WWE title actually main event a pay-per-view for once.
It's going to be a curtain jerker. Just watch. It's going to be the curtain jerker, dude.
Yeah, it probably will be.
Because Roman is so big, they're going to have him go on after the last chamber.
That wouldn't surprise me. But Drew McIntyre defends his WWE title against Kofi Kingston, who, of course, has replaced The Miz, Sheamus, I didn't think who else is in this. Jeff Hardy.
Jeff Hardy.
Excuse
me. I already know who I think the final two are going to be and who I think is going to win. But yeah, at this point, I don't.
Yeah, it's Drew McIntyre, and he'll defend it against AJ Styles, Sheamus, Jeff Hardy, Kofi Kingston, and who's the other guy?
Oh shit! I don't.
You can tell we do. I had the thing here, but I thought, I'm going to be really clever and try and show off by remembering it myself. And Randy Orton. That's all.
Oh,
just one of the biggest stars they've had in the last 15 years. Don't worry about it.
It's because we're getting so. I think we forgot about him because we're getting so caught up in the him and Fiend stuff because we know that's probably going to happen.
Yes, I'm expecting the Fiend to return at this Elimination Chamber and cross Randy Orton, and I think it's going to be Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre as the final two.
Oh, see, my final two are different.
What you got?
I thought it was going to be Sheamus and Drew because I think Sheamus will, because he's entering last. I think he'll have a huge amount of momentum. He'll eliminate one or two people, maybe three, who knows, and then he'll lose to Drew because I think Drew will retain. Because I really think Sheamus deserves a marquee WrestleMania match that isn't a 28-second squash. I don't think he's ever really had one.
No, not a WrestleMania. No, he's always been that guy who's kind of. I think didn't he wrestle Triple H once at Mania, and it was just like, it might have been after WrestleMania, I can't remember. But either way, I don't recall Sheamus ever having a high-level marquee
exactly.
match. He's just the guy who goes out there and does the job, bless his heart.
Well, because the Bar, I'm sure the Bar's had some good WrestleMania matches, I think.
Yeah, they lost the tag titles to
a boy.
I remember now. Child.
Yeah. So if you don't count that, but I mean, still, Sheamus is so underrated. We've said it 100 times on this show. I think he deserves a huge WrestleMania match. And what's bigger than the guy who's been basically leading, one half of the team along with Roman Reigns, leading this company through this pandemic?
You think he faces Drew at WrestleMania?
I do. I think
Wow.
that I would love to see that.
Ooh, you think Edge has got wrapped up with Roman Reigns then?
I do.
Especially after he got speared on SmackDown. I think Drew McIntyre retains. I don't think it makes sense to have any of your marquee champions, lose the title before WrestleMania. And I think Drew dropping the belt at Mania probably makes the most sense. Is he going to drop it to Sheamus? Not for my money. I think Drew retains here. I could probably, now that I think about it, it most likely will come down to, I think they're going to do Drew versus Sheamus at Fastlane. That's going to be the match. I think that'll be a Fastlane. I don't think WWE has enough trust, which is a shame, in Sheamus taking on one of the big main events at WrestleMania, even though I would frankly love to see it. And I think from a marquee standpoint, they're probably thinking, we need to insert somebody else. And I'm expecting one Brock Lesnar to appear before WrestleMania and start causing a bit of mayhem and then come back and do the demolition on somebody. See, for the longest time, I thought, because there's this very clever little nuance that people may not have recognized. Whenever Roman Reigns comes out, Paul Heyman doesn't stare at him. He stares at the Universal title. And I believe that the Universal title is all he cares about. And at some point, he is going to want his ultimate client, Brock Lesnar, to destroy him. And I think the idea is that he's trying to take down Roman Reigns from within. And it's a very, 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 very slow burn. But that being said, Brock Lesnar also, of course, has the stick up his butt that Drew McIntyre walloped him at WrestleMania and dethroned him. So it could go either way in that regard. If anything, it wouldn't surprise me, actually, if Vince just booked it so that Brock Lesnar walks out of WrestleMania with both the Universal and WWE titles, because that's his thing. But Drew's definitely going to retain. I think Randy Orton will be eliminated courtesy of The Fiend. I definitely think that Drew McIntyre will get one over on Sheamus. And then, of course, we will have the match at Fastlane. That's what I think. So that wraps it up. I'm actually excited about it for a gimmick pay-per-view. I remember last year, people weren't that excited about the Elimination Chamber and ended up being one of my favorite pay-per-views of the year. The only downside is I think they should have scrapped the Lacey Evans match, and I think they should have put Asuka inside the Elimination Chamber and given some of these women like Mandy Rose, Dana Brooke, Peyton Royce, given them an opportunity to get in the chamber, show off what they can do, and have Asuka have a dominant, big, heavy set marquee title defense going into WrestleMania, because that would have really helped legitimize this run, because it has been quite lackluster. So, and it also would have been nice actually to have a tag team title Elimination Chamber match like they did last year, because that was actually fantastic and for my money stole the show. So there's a lot of potential here that they've missed, I feel, with this pay-per-view, and that's a little bit of a shame, but it should still be a really, really good card. Like, both chamber matches are going to be excellent, and I expect the United States title match to be really fucking good as well. I actually think that's going to be a bit of a show stealer.
It's definitely going to be a bit of a sneaky banger, I think. But most pay-per-views on the way to WrestleMania are pretty good, because they've got their plans. They know what's going to go, and it kind of flows really well. Sure, sometimes they have, a couple of roadblocks. But for the most part, the road to WrestleMania is pretty smooth, and this is just another stop on the road, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yes, indeed. We'll wrap it up there, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching this before Elimination Chamber, why not leave your predictions down below in the comments to let us know who you think is going to win. And if you've got any fantasy booking, feel free to leave that too. We always love interacting. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to check out my interview with Josh Alexander, just because it's a fantastic interview. He's a really awesome human being, and he's got an incredible amount of knowledge to give to the world, and also particularly any young blossoming wrestlers. And I know a lot of wrestlers, particularly trainees and things of that nature, they listen to this podcast, and that would actually be, for my money, invaluable for them in terms of knowledge and experience. So make sure you check it out. And if you are checking it out, please don't hesitate to share. Obviously, like the video, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. It always helps with the algorithm. I know it sounds boring and old, and I say it every time, but the more you guys actually save the videos to playlists and like them and comment on them and stuff, the algorithm that YouTube employs actually means that more and more people will see it in their search results. So if you can help us out with a little click here and there, that obviously would be incredibly appreciated. But from myself, Aaron Nixon, Carl Wilkinson, thank you very much for joining us. We will be back most likely tomorrow to review Elimination Chamber. That'll be dropping via YouTube and, of course, an audio podcast because it's a big pay-per-view and we like to make sure that the audio podcast for that is available as well. So, as I always say, if you don't have time to check out our YouTube channel, you can stick your earbuds in and whatever you're doing, you can listen to the Wrestle Plug while you crack on with your day. Thank you very much for listening and we'll catch you very soon for more content from the Wrestle Plug.